The morning sun filtered through the massive viewing windows of the HS Phoenix, casting long shadows across the bridge. Captain Lee stood motionless, hands clasped behind their back, watching the stars streak by. This wasn't just another starship, it was humanity's first real chance at survival. Engineering reports wildfire core readings are stable, Captain, announced Lieutenant Rivera from their station. The words hung in the air with weight. Every person on the bridge knew what those readings meant. After years of watching human colonies fall to alien attacks, after countless lives lost, humanity had finally built something that could change everything. The captain walked slowly around the circular bridge, footsteps echoing on the polished floor. Their fingers trailed along the sleek control panels, technology that would have seemed impossible just a decade ago. The crew worked quietly at their stations, but there was an electric tension in the air. They were making history with every passing moment. "Show me the core status," the captain requested, moving to the main display. A holographic image sprang to life, showing the heart of their ship, the wildfire core. It pulsed with a gentle orange glow, like a captured piece of the sun itself. The engineering team had outdone themselves, creating a weapon that could harness the raw power of fusion. It was beautiful and terrifying all at once. Through the windows, distant stars beckoned. Somewhere out there, human colonies lived in constant fear of the next raid. The captain had seen the aftermath of those attacks too many times: burning buildings, destroyed homes, families torn apart. Their own hometown had been one of the first targets. The memory of that day still burned bright, fueling their determination. "Navigation, status report," the captain called out, keeping their voice steady despite the emotions churning beneath the surface. This wasn't just a maiden voyage, it was a message to every alien race that had ever thought humans were easy prey. "All systems nominal, Captain. We're maintaining course through the patrol route. 3 days until we reach the outer colonies." The navigator's voice carried a hint of pride. Everyone on board knew they were part of something bigger than themselves. The bridge crew worked with practiced efficiency, but there were little signs of their excitement: a tapped finger here, a suppressed smile there. They were the best of the best, chosen from thousands of candidates. Each of them had their own story, their own reason for being here, their own losses to avenge. The captain paused at the tactical station, studying the long-range scanner displays. Empty space for now, but that wouldn't last. Sooner or later, they would find what they were looking for, or rather, what was looking for them. The aliens had grown bold over the years, never expecting serious resistance. That was about to change. "Remember everyone," the captain spoke, addressing the entire bridge crew. "What we're doing here isn't just about showing our strength. It's about protecting our people, our homes, our future. Every person on this ship carries the hopes of humanity with them." The crew straightened in their seats, renewed purpose visible in their expressions. Through the windows, the endless expanse of space stretched out before them. Somewhere out there, the enemies waited, unaware that the balance of power was about to shift dramatically. The wildfire core hummed softly through the deck plates, a constant reminder of the incredible power they now commanded. But with that power came responsibility. They weren't here for revenge. They were here to establish peace through strength, to show that humanity would no longer be an easy target. As the shift changed and new crew members arrived to take their stations, there was a sense of anticipation in the air. The Phoenix might look like just another ship from the outside, but inside she carried humanity's greatest achievement. Soon, very soon, the galaxy would learn just what that meant. The captain returned to their position at the front of the bridge, watching the stars streak past. 3 days until they reached the colonies. 3 days until they might face their first real test. But for now, in this moment, they allowed themselves to feel a glimmer of hope. For the first time since the raids began, humanity had a real chance at changing its destiny. The Phoenix's bridge hummed with energy as the wildfire core powered up. Displays showed the fusion reaction building deep within the ship's heart, growing stronger with each passing second. The crew worked their stations with intense focus, knowing that one small mistake could mean disaster. "Core temperature approaching optimal levels," the chief engineer reported through the comm. Their voice carried both excitement and concern. They'd practiced this hundreds of times in simulations, but this was real. "Containment fields are holding steady. Fusion reaction is stable." The captain watched the main screen as readouts scrolled past, each one confirming that their revolutionary weapon was functioning exactly as designed. The deck plates vibrated subtly beneath their feet, a physical reminder of the incredible power they were about to unleash. "Sir," called the sensor officer, "the Nexoid fleet is launching fighters. Looks like they've finally decided we might be worth their attention." A hint of satisfaction colored their words. The aliens were about to learn just how much attention they should have been paying. Through the viewport, they could see the crystalline fighters emerging from their carrier ships like angry wasps from a nest. The smaller craft moved with characteristic alien precision, forming up into attack patterns that had spelled doom for so many human vessels before. "Let them come," the captain said calmly. "Engineering, status of the containment systems." "All green, Captain. The magnetic bottles are performing perfectly. Core temperature is now at 80% of maximum." The chief engineer's pride was evident. Their team had spent years perfecting this technology, working through countless failures to reach this point. The bridge lighting shifted to a deep amber as power was redirected to the core systems. On the tactical display, the Nexoid fighters drew closer, their formation spreading out to surround the Phoenix. They still thought this was going to be a typical engagement. "Hull temperature rising," reported operations. "The core's radiation shielding is working as designed. Internal temperature remains stable." They paused, checking another reading. "Sir, the ship's outer plating is beginning to glow." Indeed, looking out the viewport, they could see a faint orange tinge spreading across the Phoenix's hull. It started at the core section and slowly crept outward, making the ship look like a piece of metal heating in a forge. "Nexoid command ship is hailing us again," communications announced. "There." A short laugh escaped. "They're asking if we're having engine trouble and offering to accept our surrender." The captain allowed themselves a small smile. "No response needed. Let them think whatever they want for the next 30 seconds. Engineering, time to full power. Core reaching 90%, 95. Sir, we're about to cross the threshold no human ship has ever achieved before." The chief engineer's voice shook slightly with emotion. "Containment fields are holding strong. All safety systems report ready." The Nexoid fighters were close now, their weapons charging. The larger ships behind them began to move into attack positions, still maintaining their arrogant confidence. They had no idea they were about to witness something unprecedented. "Look at their scanners," the sensor officer called out. "They're going crazy trying to figure out what we're doing. These energy readings don't match anything in their database." The deck vibration intensified, and the amber lighting pulsed in rhythm with the core's power cycles. Every crew member could feel it, the raw energy of a star contained and controlled within their ship. It was terrifying and exhilarating all at once. "Core temperature at maximum," engineering announced triumphantly. "All systems are in the green. The wildfire core is fully operational, Captain. We're ready." The captain stood at the center of the bridge, feeling the power thrumming through the ship. This was the moment that would change everything. Humanity's greatest achievement was about to be demonstrated for the first time. To all stations, the captain's voice carried calm authority. "Prepare for wildfire core activation. Remember your training. We're about to show these aliens what human ingenuity can accomplish." The tactical officer's hands hovered over their console, ready to channel the core's power into their weapons systems. The Nexoid fighters were almost in firing range, their crystalline hulls glittering against the backdrop of space. "Sir," the chief engineer's voice was filled with pride and determination, "the core is singing. She's ready to show us what she can do." And indeed, beneath all the other sounds on the bridge, they could hear it, a high, pure tone that seemed to resonate with something deep in their bones. It was the sound of artificial fusion, of humanity's greatest technological leap, of hope made real through science and courage. And indeed, beneath all the other sounds on the bridge, they could hear it, a high, pure tone that seemed to resonate with something deep in their bones. It was the sound of artificial fusion, of humanity's greatest technological leap, of hope made real through science and courage. The bridge of the Phoenix was a study in controlled chaos as the captain positioned their ship for the upcoming battle. Holographic displays showed the Nexoid fleet spreading out in a classic pincer formation, a tactic they'd used countless times against human vessels. Tactical, show me firing solutions, the captain ordered, studying the three-dimensional battle display. The Nexoid command ship loomed largest among the hostile vessels, its crystalline hull reflecting starlight like a massive diamond in space. "They're giving us multiple targets, sir," the tactical officer responded, their fingers dancing across the controls. "But there's something odd about their formation. They're leaving deliberate gaps in their defense screen." The captain nodded grimly. "They're not just underestimating us, they're mocking us. Those gaps are an invitation to try and run." A small smile played across their face. "Let's use that arrogance against them." The Phoenix moved with deliberate sluggishness, as if struggling to maintain position. It was a carefully choreographed dance, making their ship appear vulnerable while actually maneuvering into the perfect attack position. "Sir, incoming transmission from the colony," the communications officer called out. "They're seeing the Nexoid fleet. There's panic starting to spread." "Send them a coded message," the captain replied. "Tell them to maintain calm and trust us. We're about to show everyone what the Phoenix can do." Through the viewport, they could see the Nexoid fighters moving closer, their formation tight and precise. Behind them, the larger ships adjusted their positions, weapons ports still closed. They were taking their time, savoring what they thought would be another easy victory. "Engineering, how's our special package doing?" the captain asked, using the crew's nickname for the wildfire core. "Hot and happy, sir," came the response, pride evident in the chief engineer's voice. "She's practically purring. All power routings are secure. We can channel the core's energy to weapons the moment you give the word." The tactical officer spoke up again, excitement barely contained. "Captain, I think I see the perfect shot. If we time this right, we can catch 3 of their ships in the initial burst, including their command vessel." The captain moved to the tactical station, studying the proposed firing solution. It was ambitious, requiring split-second timing and perfect core control. But if it worked, show me the power requirements. Numbers scrolled across the screen, and the tactical officer pointed to key calculations. "We'll need to channel 30% of the core's output through the main emitter array. Any more might overwhelm our systems, any less won't penetrate their shields." "What about radiation backwash?" the captain asked, thinking of their crew's safety. "Shields are rated for up to 40% core discharge," operations reported confidently. "We've got some wiggle room." The Nexoid fleet continued their advance, still showing no signs of concern. Their sensors must have been going crazy from the energy readings coming from the Phoenix, but their arrogance prevented them from seeing the threat. "Sir," the sensor officer called out suddenly, "I'm picking up chatter between their ships." They paused, listening intently. "They're taking bets on how quickly we'll surrender." A quiet chuckle ran through the bridge crew. Even in this tense moment, there was something satisfying about knowing what was coming. "Let them laugh," the captain said, returning to the command chair. "Tactical, lock in that firing solution. Engineering, begin power transfer to weapon systems. Let's show them exactly what they're dealing with." The deck hummed beneath their feet as energy from the wildfire core began flowing through specialized conduits. The ship's outer hull glowed brighter, and temperature warnings flashed on several displays, all within expected parameters. "Power transfer at 20%, engineering reported. 25, approaching optimal levels for weapons discharge." The captain watched as the Nexoid ships moved exactly where they wanted them. Years of fighting humans had made them predictable. They always used the same tactics because they'd never needed to change them. Until now. "All hands," the captain's voice rang through the ship's comm system, secure for combat maneuvers. "We're about to make history." The bridge crew checked their restraints, each person focused on their station. Through the viewport, they could see the Nexoid fighters beginning their attack run, their crystalline hulls glittering with deadly beauty. Behind them, the larger ships moved into position, still completely unaware that they were flying into the perfect trap. "Power transfer complete," engineering announced. "Weapons systems are hot. The core is ready to show us what she can do." The captain took a deep breath, feeling the weight of the moment. In the next few minutes, they would either change the course of human history or join the long list of failed attempts to stand against the Nexoid fleet. But looking around at their crew's determined faces, they knew which outcome to bet on. "Fire." The captain's command cut through the tense silence on the bridge. In that instant, everything changed. The wildfire core unleashed its power, and the Phoenix transformed from prey to predator. The ship's hull blazed like a newborn star. Energy coursed through specialized channels, turning the entire vessel into a weapon unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. The viewport filters automatically darkened to protect the crew's eyes from the intense light their own ship was producing. Core output at maximum. Engineering's voice was filled with awe. Containment fields holding steady. She's performing beyond all projections. The first burst of energy erupted from the Phoenix's main emitter array. It wasn't like any weapon the nexoids had faced before. This was pure stellar fire, concentrated and controlled. The beam cut through space like a sword through silk, its color an impossible blend of white and blue that seemed to hurt the eyes. Direct hit on the lead ship. Tactical announced, their voice rising with excitement. Their shields are just gone. Through the tinted viewport, they watched as the nexoid command ship's crystalline hull began to melt. The alien vessel, nearly 2 kilometers of supposedly impenetrable material, was turning to liquid under the core's power. 2 support ships caught in the same energy burst suffered the same fate, their proud forms dissolving like ice in summer heat. By all that's holy, breathed the sensor officer, their hull temperature is reaching solar levels. They've got nothing that can handle this kind of heat. The remaining nexoid ships froze in space, their usual perfect formation forgotten. Their fighters scattered like startled birds, breaking away from their attack runs in desperate evasive maneuvers. For the first time in known history, a nexoid fleet was showing fear. Coolant systems operating at peak efficiency, operations reported calmly. Hull temperature elevated but within safe parameters. We can maintain this output. The captain stood at the center of the bridge, watching as their years of preparation paid off. Tactical, target the next group. Let's show them this wasn't a lucky shot. The Phoenix's hull pulsed with power again as the core channeled another burst of stellar energy. This time, the nexoid ships tried to evade, but they were too slow, too confused by this unprecedented attack. The second burst caught 2 more ships, their crystalline hulls offering no more protection than tissue paper against a blowtorch. Sir, communications cut in urgently. We're picking up distress calls from the nexoid fleet. They're broadcasting on all frequencies. They're panicking. The bridge crew could hardly believe what they were seeing. The supposedly invincible nexoid ships, terror of human space, were breaking formation completely. Some were trying to flee, others were attempting to regroup, but none of them seemed to know how to handle an enemy that could actually hurt them. Engineering core status? The captain asked, already planning their next move. Running like a dream, sir. Temperature optimal, containment solid. We could do this all day. The remaining nexoid ships were turning away from the colony now, all thoughts of attack forgotten. Their fighters were racing back to their carrier ships, retreat overriding their usual disciplined protocols. Sir, Tactical said quietly, we have clear shots on their entire retreat path. We could take out their whole fleet. The captain shook their head. No, let them run. Let them tell others what happened here, what humanity can do now. They paused, watching the aliens flee. But let's give them one more demonstration to remember us by. One final burst of core energy lanced out from the Phoenix, deliberately passing between the retreating ships. The message was clear. They could have destroyed them all, but chose not to. It was a show of power and mercy all at once. Colony is reporting in, communications announced, emotion thick in their voice. They're cheering, sir. Every settlement in range saw what we did. They're calling it a miracle. The captain smiled, looking at their crew, each face shining with pride and amazement at what they'd just accomplished. Through the viewport, they could see the retreating nexoid ships, that formation ragged and scared. Near them floated the remains of their command ship, its crystalline hull now cooled into twisted, unrecognizable shapes. Not a miracle, the captain said softly. Just human ingenuity, courage, and determination. Send word to Earth. Tell them the wildfire core works better than we ever dreamed. Tell them, they paused, watching the last nexoid ship disappear into hyperspace. Tell them humanity just changed the rules of the game. The minutes after the battle felt surreal on the Phoenix's bridge. Where there had been chaos and tension, now there was an almost stunned silence. The crew stared at their displays, still processing what they had just accomplished. 5 nexoid ships, 5 supposedly invincible warships, were now nothing but cooling debris in space. "Damage report," the captain called out, breaking the spell. They needed to stay focused, to maintain their professionalism even in this historic moment. "No structural damage," operations responded, sounding almost surprised. The core containment systems performed perfectly. Hull temperature is already returning to normal range. Through the viewport, they could see the remaining nexoid ships scrambling to retreat. Their once perfect formation was shattered, ships practically climbing over each other to get away. The sensor displays were lighting up with frantic communications between the alien vessels. "Sir, you need to hear this," the communications officer called out. They activated the ship's speakers, and the bridge filled with intercepted nexoid transmissions. The universal translators turned the alien language into something they could understand. Unprecedented weapon capability, impossible energy readings, direct orders to withdraw immediately. High command must be notified. The captain moved to the tactical display, studying the retreat patterns. "They're not just running," they observed. "Look at their flight paths. They're avoiding their usual regrouping protocols. They're genuinely scared." "Can you blame them?" the tactical officer replied, unable to keep the satisfaction from their voice. They just watched their flagship melt like butter. Everything they thought they knew about human capabilities just went up in smoke. The sensor officer's console suddenly lit up with new alerts. "Sir, I'm picking up massive communications bursts from the retreating ships. They're broadcasting on all frequencies, sending warning signals to every nexoid fleet in the sector." The bridge crew exchanged glances. This was more than just a tactical victory. They were witnessing the moment when an entire alien civilization realized they'd underestimated humanity. "Colony Control is requesting permission to send out ships to examine the debris," operations reported. They can hardly believe what they're seeing. The captain nodded. "Grant permission, but maintain defensive positions. We don't know if the nexoids will try something desperate." They turned to engineering station. "How's our Starhawk doing?" "Core is purring like a kitten, sir," came the proud response. "Power levels are stable, and the cooldown cycle is proceeding perfectly. We could go another round if we needed to." On the main screen, they watched as the last nexoid ship vanished into hyperspace. Their sensors were picking up confusion and fear from every alien communication they could intercept. The mighty hunters had become the hunted, and they didn't know how to handle it. "Sir," the communications officer spoke up again, "we're getting flooded with messages from other colonies. Word's spreading fast. They're asking if it's true, if we really drove off a nexoid fleet." The captain smiled. "Send them the sensor logs. Let them see for themselves. It's time humanity stood tall again." The tactical officer was reviewing the battle data, shaking their head in amazement. The core's performance exceeded our highest estimates. The nexoid shields didn't just fail. They were completely overwhelmed. Their crystalline hull armor, their advanced defensive systems, none of it was designed to handle this kind of power. Through the viewport, they could see small ships from the colony approaching the battlefield cautiously. The debris field from the destroyed nexoid ships glittered in space, pieces of their once proud crystalline hulls spinning slowly in the void. It was a monument to the end of an era. "Look at this," the sensor officer called out. "I'm picking up long-range communications between nexoid command posts. They're recalling their raid fleets, all of them. They're implementing something called Protocol Omega, seems to be some kind of emergency response to an unprecedented threat." The captain stood at the center of the bridge, watching their crew work. Everyone was professional, focused, but there was a new energy in their movements, a pride that couldn't be hidden. They had just changed the course of history. "Send word to Earth Command," they ordered. "Tell them exactly what happened here. The Wildfire Core doesn't just work, it's a game changer. And make sure they understand something else too." They paused, looking at the distant stars where their nexoid ships had fled. "Tell them that for the first time since they started attacking us, the nexoids know what fear feels like." Hours after the battle, the Phoenix maintained its protective position near New Eden Colony. The initial euphoria of victory had given way to focused determination. The captain knew that this first success, while incredible, was just the beginning. Status of the colony's defense grid, they asked, studying the tactical display where debris from the nexoid ships still drifted in space. All systems active and ready, replied the tactical officer. Colony defense teams are analyzing our sensor data, updating their protocols based on what we learned today. They're particularly interested in how the core's energy signature affected nexoid shields. The bridge crew worked with renewed confidence, but nobody was letting their guard down. Years of experience had taught them that moments of victory could quickly become moments of vulnerability. Long-range sensors are picking up interesting patterns, the sensor officer reported, leaning forward at their station. Nexoid patrol routes across 3 sectors are changing. They're pulling back from human-controlled space, establishing new defensive lines. The captain nodded thoughtfully. This was exactly what they'd hoped for, not just a tactical victory, but a strategic shift. Show me their new patrol patterns. The main display lit up with a map of nearby space. Red lines showed traditional nexoid patrol routes, while blue lines indicated their new movements. The change was dramatic. Where they once prowled aggressively through human territories, now they were maintaining clear distance. Engineering reports the core is fully cooled and ready, operations announced. All systems are nominal. We could engage another fleet right now if we needed to. The captain walked to the communications station, where officers were still sorting through the flood of incoming messages. What's the word from other colonies? They're celebrating, sir, came the reply. But more importantly, they're organizing. Defense fleets are coordinating, sharing information. The nexoids' retreat has given everyone confidence to work together openly. Through the viewport, they could see salvage teams carefully collecting pieces of the destroyed nexoid ships. Each fragment would be studied, adding to humanity's understanding of their longtime adversaries. But now these pieces represented something new, proof that the aliens weren't invincible. Sir, the tactical officer called out suddenly, we're detecting a new group of ships entering the sector. The crew tensed, but the officer continued with a smile. It's ours. 3 heavy cruisers from the Europa Defense Fleet. They're requesting permission to join our patrol. The captain smiled. Just days ago, those same ships would have hidden from a nexoid fleet. Now they were openly sailing into formerly contested space. Things were changing faster than anyone had expected. Put me through to the colony's command center, the captain ordered. As the channel opened, they could hear the bustle of activity in the background. The colony was alive with purpose, fear replaced by determination. This is the Phoenix, the captain announced. We're coordinating with the Europa fleet to establish a permanent defense perimeter. Your people can rest easy tonight. The colony commander's voice came back filled with emotion. Phoenix, we've waited years to hear words like that. Our long-range communications are picking up similar reports from across human space. The nexoids are pulling back everywhere. On the tactical display, they could see the Europa ships moving into formation with the Phoenix. Their crews had already been briefed on the battle, and their messages were filled with enthusiasm and pride. Sensor update, called out the sensor officer, getting readings from the edge of the sector. 2 more nexoid scout ships just jumped in, took one look at us, and jumped right back out. They're not even trying to hide their scanner readings. They want us to know they're backing off. The captain returned to their chair, watching the tactical display update with new information. The nexoids were rapidly withdrawing from positions they'd held for years, abandoning staging areas and forward bases. Send word to Earth Command, they ordered. The Wildfire Corps did more than win us a battle. It's reshaping the strategic landscape. The nexoids are giving up territory they've held for decades. They're not just scared of the Phoenix. They're scared of what this means for every human ship that might carry a core. Through the viewport, they could see New Eden's sun rising over the colony world's horizon. It seemed fitting. A new day for humanity, marked by the light of a distant star. Just like the artificial star they'd created in the Phoenix's heart, it was a symbol of hope and power. The captain looked around at their crew, seeing the same determination on every face. They'd proven what the Wildfire Corps could do. Now it was time to show the galaxy that humanity's first victory wouldn't be its last. The news spread across human space faster than any ship could travel. Every colony, outpost, and settlement buzzed with the story. The Phoenix's victory became larger with each retelling, but the truth was incredible enough on its own. Another transmission from Earth Command, the communications officer announced on the Phoenix's bridge. They're mobilizing the entire home fleet. Every shipyard is being converted to build wildfire core vessels. The captain nodded, watching the tactical display where friendly ships were appearing in greater numbers. The once quiet sector was now filled with human vessels moving openly through space that had been considered nexoid territory just days ago. Colony defense stations are reporting in, operations added. They're tracking nexoid communications across all sectors. The aliens are pulling back to their core systems. Places we haven't been able to approach for years are suddenly wide open. Through the viewport, they could see work crews from New Even Colony examining the battlefield. Pieces of crystalline hull were being carefully collected and transported. Each fragment represented a chance to better understand their longtime enemies. Engineering has finished their full analysis of the core's performance, the chief engineer reported proudly. Every system exceeded specifications. We pushed her to the limit, and she just kept giving more. The data we gathered will help make the next generation of cores even better. The captain moved to the science station, where officers were compiling data from the battle. What have we learned about their vulnerabilities? Their crystalline technology has a critical weakness, the science officer explained, pulling up detailed scans. The same structure that makes their ships so strong against conventional weapons makes them brittle when exposed to the core's energy. They literally shatter from the inside out. Across the bridge, crew members worked with renewed purpose. The fear that had haunted human ships for so long was gone, replaced by confidence and determination. They weren't prey anymore. They were defenders, protectors, warriors. "Sir," the sensor officer called out, "long-range scanners are picking up something interesting." The nexoid communications we're intercepting, they're not just military. We're picking up civilian transmissions too. The whole society is reacting to what happened here. The main screen filled with translated alien messages. Reports of the battle had reached the nexoid homeworlds, spreading panic through their population. A species that had always seen humans as inferior was suddenly facing the reality that their supposed dominance was over. "Look at this," the tactical officer pointed to a particular section of data. They're recalling civilian ships from all human-controlled sectors, mining operations, research stations, everything. They're implementing a full withdrawal. The captain smiled grimly. They'd finally understand. We're not their victims anymore. We're not their prey. We're a force they have to reckon with. A message flashed on the command console, priority transmission from Earth. The captain opened it, and their expression grew serious as they read. "Well, crew, it's official. The Phoenix's success has changed everything. Earth Command is implementing Operation Rising Dawn." The bridge crew straightened in their seats. They'd all heard rumors about Rising Dawn, the planned counteroffensive that would only be launched when humanity finally had a weapon capable of taking the fight to the nexoids. "All defense fleets are being reorganized," the captain continued. "The Phoenix will lead a task force of wildfire core ships as soon as they're built. Our mission: push the nexoids back to their borders and establish a permanent defensive line." Through the viewport, they could see more human ships arriving in the sector. Vessels that had once hidden from the slightest sign of nexoid activity now moved with confidence, their crews inspired by the Phoenix's victory. "Sir," communications spoke up again, "we're getting messages from every human colony in range. They're all saying the same thing: they want to help. Volunteers, resources, whatever we need. Everyone wants to be part of this." The captain looked around at their crew, seeing the same determination on every face. The Phoenix had done more than win a battle. It had given humanity back its courage, its unity, its hope. "Send word to all ships in the sector," they ordered. "The Phoenix stands ready to protect any human settlement, and let Earth know we're ready for whatever comes next. The nexoids wanted us to be afraid." They paused, watching another group of human ships drop out of hyperspace nearby. Now they can learn what it means to fear us instead. 2 weeks after the historic battle, the Phoenix approached Earth orbit. The blue-green planet grew larger in their viewport, more beautiful than ever to the crew that had helped change humanity's future. "Multiple escort ships approaching," the sensor officer reported with a smile. "They're forming an honor guard. Looks like half the Earth Defense Fleet came out to welcome us home. The captain stood at the center of the bridge, watching as sleek military vessels took up formation around the Phoenix. Their crews were broadcasting congratulations and cheers on all frequencies. The ship that had left Earth as an experiment was returning as a legend. "Sir," communications called out, "we're getting a live feed from the surface. Every major city is holding celebrations. They're projecting our approach on giant screens. Millions of people are watching us come home." Through the main viewport, they could see the other ships clearly now. Their hulls gleamed in the sunlight, and many had painted new symbols on their sides, artistic renditions of the Phoenix rising from flames, inspired by their victory. Engineering reports all systems nominal, operations announced. "The core has performed perfectly throughout our return journey. Every test we've run has confirmed what we hoped. This technology is reliable and reproducible." The tactical display showed hundreds of ships in Earth orbit, more than had been seen in one place since the nexoids first appeared. Vessels that had once hidden in the shadows of planets and asteroids now flew proudly in open space. Latest intelligence update, the tactical officer reported. "The nexoids have withdrawn from 12 more sectors. Their entire military structure is reorganizing. They're fortifying their core systems, abandoning all aggressive patrols. And here's the best part, 3 other alien species that they'd been threatening have suddenly found themselves free." The captain nodded. The victory had done more than protect humanity. It had changed the balance of power across known space. The bullies of the galaxy had been forced to retreat, and everyone was watching to see what would happen next. "Look at this," the science officer called out excitedly. "Data from the shipyards. They've already completed the first batch of new Wildfire core ships. The production process has been streamlined based on what they learned from us. The next generation will be even more effective." As they approached their designated orbital position, the captain could see the massive construction facilities that circled Earth. Skeletal frameworks of new ships stretched for kilometers, each one designed to carry humanity's revolutionary new weapon. "Message from Earth Command," communications announced. "They're requesting permission to broadcast your statement to all human colonies simultaneously. Everyone wants to hear from the crew that changed everything." The captain took a moment to look around the bridge. Every officer, every crew member had played a part in this victory. They weren't just soldiers or scientists anymore. They were the ones who had given humanity back its future. "Put me on, shipwide first," they ordered. As the channel opened, they could feel the weight of the moment. "Crew of the Phoenix, this is your captain. What we achieved goes beyond military victory. We proved that humanity's greatest strength isn't our technology or our weapons, it's our refusal to accept defeat, our determination to protect our own." They paused, watching as Earth grew larger in their view. The nexoids thought they knew everything about us. They thought we were predictable, weak, easy prey. They never understood that every time they attacked us, every colony they threatened, they were just giving us more reason to find a way to stop them. The Wildfire Core isn't just a weapon, it's a testament to human ingenuity and courage. Now connecting to all colonies, communications reported quietly. To everyone listening across human space, the captain continued, "The Phoenix brings you more than victory. We bring you proof that the galaxy has changed. Humanity will never again hide in the shadows. We will never again watch helplessly as our people are threatened. The time of fear is over." Through the viewport, they could see the sun rising over Earth's horizon, its light catching the hulls of countless ships gathered to welcome them home. It was a new dawn, not just for Earth, but for all of humanity. "The Phoenix has shown us the way forward," the captain concluded, "and this is just the beginning. We didn't just win a battle, we opened a door to a future where humanity stands tall among the stars. And we're going to walk through that door together, not as victims or survivors, but as equals to any species in the galaxy." As the transmission ended, cheers erupted from every ship in orbit. The Phoenix had come home, carrying with it humanity's restored pride and newfound strength. The dark days were over. The future belonged to those who dared to rise from the ashes of defeat and claim their place among the stars.